this so that I don't get sidetracked on bunny trail. So, Romans 10:9 says, because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. At the age of 12 or 13, I did what that verse said. I confessed and I believed. I can spend a lot of time telling you story after story about what God has done in my life since that day, but I think I'll focus on the past couple of years. In April 2008, I found out I had a non-cancerous brain tumor that affected my hormones. I had no energy, I had constant headaches, and I was overweight. After taking my medication for some time, I started feeling different. I had unlimited amounts of energy. I lost 30 pounds and headaches were gone. My hormones were leveling out. I know it sounds strange that would be like a negative thing, but it didn't feel right. I didn't feel like myself. I was comfortable with being fat and tired all the time. I didn't feel like myself, and it was strange. But instead of turning to God, my wife, or godly friends, I internalized everything, which led me to become angry at my wife and renounce my faith and ultimately leave my home and live with my dad. I knew that what I was doing was wrong, and that I was sinning against God. So I figured if I said I didn't believe anymore, I could justify my actions. Little did I know the work God was doing in me even then. During my time away from my family, Karen would keep me posted on the kids, and when I would see her, she would tell me things like, that she would always be my friend, or she was still there, and she would wait for me. And when she would say those things, something deep in my heart would always say, hey, does that sound familiar? Kind of jabbing me in the back, saying, hey, sound familiar? God was calling to me. He was using my wife, my best friend, to show me that he was still here, and that he hasn't left. Even though I have left, he never left. I'm back with Karen